Psychology says the most dangerous thing a woman can do is heal, not because healing makes her cruel, cold, or heartless, but because healing makes her clear. And clarity is threatening in a world that benefits from her confusion. Because when a woman heals, she stops doubting her intuition. She stops questioning her worth. She stops apologizing for having needs. And the moment that happens, the power dynamics around her begin to collapse. Because many relationships, systems, and expectations were built on her pain, her guilt, her silence, and her emotional labor. And psychology explains that unhealed women are easier to control because they seek validation, they fear abandonment, they tolerate disrespect, and they confuse attachment with love. But a healed woman no longer negotiates her boundaries. She enforces them. She no longer explains her decisions to people who benefit from misunderstanding her, and she no longer stays where her nervous system feels unsafe. And this shift does not happen loudly or dramatically. It happens quietly, internally, in the mind first, because healing rewires the brain. It moves a woman out of survival mode and into self-regulation. And when that happens, she no longer reacts, she responds. She no longer chases, she chooses. And psychology shows that when a person exits chronic emotional stress, their tolerance for manipulation drops almost instantly, because healing restores self-trust. And self-trust is the most dangerous thing for anyone who relied on her self-doubt, because once a woman heals, she stops needing to be liked and instead prioritizes being at peace, and that alone threatens people who gained access to her through guilt, obligation, or emotional pressure. Because a healed woman no longer over-explains herself, she understands that clarity does not require consensus. And psychology confirms that people who heal develop what is called internal validation, meaning they no longer outsource their worth to approval, praise, or reassurance. And this is why healing feels threatening to others, because it removes leverage. Because when a woman heals, she stops rescuing others at the cost of herself. She stops absorbing emotional chaos that does not belong to her. And she stops confusing empathy with self-betrayal. And what makes this even more uncomfortable for society is that healing does not make her aggressive. It makes her indifferent to what drains her. And indifference is far more powerful than anger, because anger can still be manipulated, but emotional neutrality cannot. And psychology explains that healed individuals operate from a place of emotional autonomy, meaning they are no longer reactive to triggers that once controlled them. So the arguments stop working, the guilt trips fail, the silent treatments lose their power, and the emotional hooks no longer sink in. And this is often when people say she has changed, she has become distant, she has become cold. But psychology says what they are actually witnessing is emotional maturity, not emotional loss. Because healing does not harden a woman, it stabilizes her. It grounds her. It reconnects her to her body, her intuition, and her sense of self. And once that happens, she stops shrinking to make others comfortable. And she stops staying small to preserve fragile relationships, because she realizes that connection without respect is not connection, it is self-abandonment. And psychology shows that many women are conditioned from a young age to associate love with sacrifice, silence, and endurance. But healing breaks that conditioning. And when that happens, a woman begins to recognize patterns instead of personalities. She sees behavior instead of promises. And she understands that consistency is more important than intensity. And this awareness makes her dangerous to dysfunctional dynamics, because she no longer romanticizes pain. She no longer waits for potential, and she no longer confuses chaos with passion. And this is why healing often leads to solitude, not because she cannot connect, but because she refuses to connect at the expense of her mental health. And psychology confirms that healed women choose quality over quantity in relationships, because they understand that peace is not loneliness, and being surrounded by the wrong people is far more isolating than being alone. And once a woman heals, she no longer feels responsible for managing other people's emotions. She understands that empathy does not require self-sacrifice, and compassion does not mean tolerating harm. And this shift alone destabilizes many relationships that depended on her emotional availability without accountability. And what makes healing truly dangerous is that it changes her nervous system, meaning her body no longer interprets chaos as familiar, so she physically cannot stay in environments that feel unsafe. And psychology explains that when the nervous system heals, the body begins to reject stress disguised as normal. And this is why healed women walk away without dramatic explanations, because their body already gave them the answer, and they trust it. And when a woman heals, she stops asking why people hurt her, and starts asking why she stayed, not from self-blame, but from self-understanding. And this insight creates growth that cannot be undone, because once awareness is gained, it cannot be unlearned. And this is why healing permanently changes a woman, because she cannot return to who she was before she knew her worth. And psychology says that healed women are often misunderstood, because they are no longer predictable, they no longer react the way they used to, they no longer tolerate what they once normalized. And this unpredictability feels threatening to those who relied on her emotional patterns, because healing removes access, not through anger, but through boundaries, and boundaries are the language of self-respect. And when a woman finally heals, she does not become difficult. She becomes selective. She does not become selfish. She becomes self-aware, and she does not become distant. She becomes discerning. And psychology confirms that this is the natural outcome of emotional healing, because healed women no longer seek intensity. They seek stability. They no longer chase validation. They cultivate self-trust, and they no longer explain their worth. They embody it, and this embodiment is what makes healing the most dangerous thing a woman can do, because once she heals, she cannot be controlled by fear, guilt, or emotional manipulation again. And the most powerful truth psychology reveals is that a healed woman does not try to prove her value to the world. She quietly withdraws it from places where it is not honored. And that silent withdrawal changes everything.